Hi there, welcome to this week's Writers Chat, where we talk about all things writing for writers and by writers. And we are excited that you're with us today, either live or on the replay. Actually, our topic today may be really, really perfect for those of you on the replay, because I think it's going to be one of those topics that you may want to stop and start to go check it out. So I'm excited to that. My name is Jean Wise. I'm a nonfiction writer, and I'm joined today by several fun writer friends. Our normal co-host is Johnny Alexander.
Hello.
In there. And we asked Jan to stay with us, and she's marked there as word weavers, to stay with us and interact. And we have our special guest, Rhonda Dragomir. If you were here, I don't know, was it a month or so ago?
It's been a bit.
I bet it was. Rhonda came on and taught us some really great tricks in using the using Microsoft Word, and it was so good. We wanted her to come on back and join us again. So we've asked Rhonda. We're going to basically turn it over to Rhonda and have some interactions, and we'll go from there. So Rhonda, thank you for coming back and spending an hour with us again, going over Word. And please take us away and tell us what you're going to cover today, and what you want us to do, and what are you going to tell us?
Thank you, Jean. I'm so happy to be invited back. My topic, Microsoft Word, I could teach and teach and teach. And in fact, I invited questions from the Writers Chat Facebook group. And some of their questions made me go and do some research to find out, well, can you do that? And how do you do that? So I will say that learning, I've called Microsoft Word a bucking bronco. And sometimes you can ride, and sometimes you get bucked off into the manure pile. And speaking as one who has been bucked off plenty of times, I understand that there's a lot about Word. There are a lot of features. It's a big program, a powerful program, but it has certain features that are really helpful to us who write. And when we write, there are certain features I find myself using again and again, and those are the ones that I've chosen to share with you in Writers Chat, and I hope they're helpful to you. I will go through things kind of quickly. I will share my screen with you so you can see what I'm doing. And like I said, for those of you who are watching the replay, feel free to pause the video, go into your own program, and see if you can make it work. A couple of caveats I will say. I work in a Windows environment. So if you're a Mac user, good luck to you. I'll say a little bit while you try to figure it out on Mac. But the Windows environment is the one I'm most comfortable in.
Let me stop you. Yeah, Jeannie, did you have?
Yeah, I was just going to comment because I'm an Apple person, and I watched Rhonda's first lesson, and I did pause, and it took me a little bit. I'd go to Word and I'd find it, but I would find what she was looking for. And once I learned the little tricks, it went pretty easy. So if you are dealing with a different platform, don't let that stop you. It can be done, and I think it's going to be great on the replay.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Now I'm going to review a little bit what was in the first video. I watched it back myself yesterday. That's always a pain to watch yourself on video. But it's fun, and I did it. And so I hope not to repeat myself, but I will say this is part 2 of the seminar, and it's going to build upon what we learned last time. So if you're tuning in by video, you might want to pause right here and go back and watch the first video if you've not seen it, because I'm not going to repeat some of the terminology that we've already learned. So the best way I've found for me to teach is to share my screen. I'm going to do that. I'll put my screen up and bring up some of my Word documents, and you can follow along that way. Last time I thought it just completely eliminated my video, so you're lucky I didn't do anything personal, you know. Yeah. I thought, well, I'm free as a bird. But then I saw, oh, my little picture is over there in the corner, so I will be more circumspect today. But I am going to go right now, and I'm going to share my screen and bring up a Word document here that we can use, where I can, boy, oh boy, it covers the whole screen for me. Does it for you?
You know what? It didn't pop up for me. We're not seeing it. Do I need to make her a co-host for her to be able to share her screen? Let me try that. I'm going to make you a co-host, and then let's try it again.
I'll keep talking because I have lots of words.
Okay. No, try it again, because you should have been able to share your screen. And while she's doing that, welcome to everybody who's popping on. We're glad you're here. Oh, there we go, Rhonda.
Are we there? Okay, great. You're seeing.
I see your desk. Does everyone else see her desktop now?
That's my wish list.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm going. That's my inspiration. Well, let me bring up then a Word document here for us to look at, and I'll just review. Here we are. Okay. See, my title says For Him. Does everybody see that? Okay. What I'm going to do, first of all, is just go over a couple of definitions. Remember, this area here is called the ribbon. So if I ever say something about the ribbon, that's what I'm talking about. Let me get back to my home tab here. And this is the ribbon with basic commands. I will just reiterate for those who are joining us by video, I have developed a template that has presets that are very, very helpful. So you might want to email me. My email address is Rhonda, R-H-O-N-D-A, at dragomirgroup.com, D-R-A-G-O-M-I-R group.com. And I'd be happy to send you my custom template that I have tucked in a few features that are really helpful. And I give that away free. Anybody who wants to email me, warning, I will ask you to join my mailing list. I'm working on building my So this up here is the ribbon, okay? And in video 1 we covered you should have a licensed version of Word. Don't make a substitution by getting OpenOffice or any of those other programs. They may be free, but they will create problems for you and perhaps for an editor that you really don't want to happen. I will say I learned, some people have asked me, how do you know so much? Well, number 1, I've been bucked off a lot. But number 2, how do I figure things out? I Google. Or I watch YouTube videos. I watched some YouTube videos in preparation for today, and I learned some new things that I'm going to share with you. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know it did that. It is a huge program, and I don't think there are very many people who know all of the features of Word. But I have chosen a few to share with you today. I taught you already how to cut and paste. That was one of the best tips I gave in the last video, was how to get text off of the internet and put it in your document without wrecking your formatting. We talked a little bit about find and replace. And I want to just say here right now, it is possible to search for tabs. One of the things in formatting a document is that you do not want to use tabs to begin your paragraphs. If you see right here, if I use my little paragraph command and show you the background formatting on this document that's on the screen, see these little arrows here? Those are tabs. So rather than, and this document was formatted using Word, Microsoft Word defaults, Calibri 11, however you say that, font, and so forth. So it has a lot of work to do before it's ready to submit to a publisher. So one of the things I would need to do is get rid of these tab stops. Now some people, they may have 150 pages and every paragraph starts with a tab, and that is a lot of work, painstaking work to go back through and remove those tab stops. So I want to just review, first of all, this is a great tip if you have one of those documents and you're just tearing your hair out. Let me show you something real quickly about the find and replace. Find and replace is up here on the home tab. By the way, these are tabs across the top. So if I refer to a tab, that's what I'm talking about. We're going to do, I'm going to use replace because I want to get rid of them. So if I click replace, here comes my, well, this is called a dialog box or a pop-up, okay? So here's the dialog box. It's saying find what? If you will look, there's already, I've typed in this command. It is the little pointy thing. I don't know technical terms. It's a little pointy thing that goes up.
Yeah,
on my keyboard. It is the
caret.
And 6, caret, thank you. Yeah. So the caret upward and a lowercase t. And what it will do, and I'm going to say replace with, I don't want to replace it with anything. I just want to remove it, okay? So the caret T under find what? Replace with nothing. If I click here on find next, see how it showed me that tab?
Mm-hmm.
I can either click replace all. If I wanted to replace all of them in the whole document, all I would do is one click and they're all gone. Okay? But I'm going to just do it one time here. I'm going to say replace, and you'll see that one disappear. It automatically goes to the next one. If I click replace, it's gone. Okay? Now, I will tell you that Microsoft Word, it has some internal intelligence that really kind of scares me. My computer is smarter than me. But when I went in this document, I'm going to click OK just to get rid of these. When I went down through my document and I started manually adding tabs where there weren't any, after I did 2, by the 3rd paragraph, it changed the default formatting in my entire document to indent, which should be indent by point.
Oh, wow.
So
I've
I had
seen
to
it do that,
manually go
yeah.
back in and make that mistake. So I thought, oh, that's scary. Now I will tell you, I am using Microsoft Word version 2010. Some of the older programs might not have that feature. And I will say that is a very good reason to keep updating. Some of you might still be using Microsoft Word 2003. If you can afford it, if you can invest, please invest in the newer versions, because they have done a lot of work on this program behind the scenes that will have features that are usable and really help you. So that was one thing I learned. Somebody wanted to know if we could find those tab stops. You can you replace them? Yes, in the way I just told you to. We talked last time about spelling and grammar check, about word count. We talked about the reading ease and the reading scores that it gives you to kind of score your document for how easy it is to read and what grade level you've written at. So all of that was in the first video. There's my very long commercial. And now we're going to go on into some more advanced features of Word. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is the view. How many of you have looked at the view, and this is the view you see, and you're like, what? That is so small. Look what I'm doing. You see here on the bottom right of my screen, if you will look, I hope you can see that. There is a slider for zooming, okay? So I can zoom just with that slider. What I always did in the past is I would go to my View tab, then I'd go to my Zoom tab, and then I'd choose, well, do I want 75%, or do I want to see it at 85%, or do I want to see the whole page width? You know what? I don't do that anymore. Some people, that's the way they do it. And this is something I discovered just in the last week. Look at this. This is
Wow.
It's just click and drag. I love click and drag.
Yeah,
So
you're zooming on Zoom. Think about
I'm zooming on Zoom. Yes. I am super zooming.
Super Zoom.
And it's very quick. And that right there, you would be surprised how many times when you move back and forth between a view, how much time that takes. And really what I'm trying to do is teach you how to save some time. So that view setting is there. The other thing I will say is if you look at my layout, you don't see any rulers. I think writers should enable their rulers because, well, now this is a devotional I've written, but in my book manuscripts, when I start a new chapter, I want to start at the same place on every chapter where I begin. So I want you to see here on the View tab, here in the Show, this is called a group. I've got Document Views, and then I've got Show. In the Show group, there's a little box called Ruler. And if I just click it, there it is, all right? So I can see down the left-hand side, and I can see what's at the top. I know if this were a chapter start, for me, I start at inch 3. So here, if I click here, I know that I'm not at inch 3. I would just hit the return or whatever until I got down to begin at inch 3. All right. So I like looking at the rulers. The rulers also show you your margins, and your margins be set for an inch around. If you look here, that's grayed out. There's my inch on the right. Here it is on the left. Here's my inch at the top. It's another way to double check that I have my margin settings.
Rhonda, what is that inch 3? I go down 4 double spaces. Is that about what?
Well, let's see.
What's
my
your
document right now, this one is not set for double spacing. Let me open a different document and just see. This is the template that I'm giving away for free. And we'll see here. I'm going to show you the paragraph settings. Okay, and I have these. Each of the paragraph marks indicates a return or one time that I've hit enter.
Okay.
So I need to view my rulers on this document so that we can see. And that little booger isn't going to show me the left-hand ruler.
It's not, is it?
I'm going to come down a little bit.
Is that it up at the top, in that top left corner? Is that it? No.
It's a stinker. I'm going back to that. Did you hear the manure? Splat. Okay, that was just going splat. Okay, my ruler's here on this one. I have no idea why it didn't show
That's
up on
crazy. It happened.
I'm not going to take the time to try to show. But if I click down, this is double space. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm still just at 2 inches.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly. I only know that if I look at that ruler on the left-hand side, I don't know that it matters that much to someone who's reading my manuscript. I just want it consistent.
Sure.
All of my chapter titles are 3 inches from the top margin. That's what they should all be. And having that ruler up there is one way to tell. So that's the ruler and the zoom. So your view settings, I did talk some about view settings in the previous video. So I did get a question asking me about headers and footers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now what I want to do here on this is to show you, I don't know why that guy keeps coming down. He just likes to tease me up there at the top. Okay. So I will show you the easiest way to get into a header is just to double click on it. Now this again is the template that I have developed. So you'll see there is nothing on the header on the title page. That's one of the little tricks that I will show you, okay? But here on the second page, you'll see I have author name, a space, slash, space, title, and then the number justified to the right margin. Now you see this one isn't quite to the right. That's something I can tell from the ruler because here's the margin.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go into my template and see why that's not exactly on the right. I'm just not quite sure, honestly. But what I've done in this document is I have done that for you. And the easiest way is just get in there and double click. On the title page on my document, I put this contact information here. It's in the footer, okay? So when I clicked into the header, it automatically opened the footer.
Mm-hmm.
And I can make all my changes. When I'm done, I'll just come back here and I will double click into the main area of text. And you can see that the header goes gray. If anything
Rhonda?
in Microsoft Word is gray, that means it's not functioning right now. Yes.
How on the title page can you keep it blank when you're adding the header and footer to the other pages?
That is a very good question. And it is later in my notes, but because you asked, I will show you. Okay. So on your, let's see, on your insert tab, you see these things called page breaks? I have inserted, let's see here, if I can show it to you. I have inserted something called a section break. All right, I'm going to undo what I just did. And they are not showing here for some reason. It might show here. Okay, now you can see it. See, here's my title, author name, genre, word count. Okay, I've inserted something called a section break. Okay, a page break ends a page. A section break ends a section. So I've told Microsoft Word, I want this first page to be its own section. And whatever I've done on all the other pages, I don't want it done on this page. So that section break means that when I come down here into my header, and see it's showing you all this header, it starts with page 1 on chapter 1. So Jan, did that say, see, so if I don't want that header that's on page it's actually page 2, but it is page 1 of what I've written. That's not the title page. If I want the title page accepted, I put a section break. Okay, so my numbering will start with number 1 on the next page. If I put a section break at the end of each chapter, does anybody know what would happen?
Would the numbers start over?
Would start with number 1. Page
Is
1.
there a way to change that though, to set the value?
There is.
Okay.
And if you come into the header, Johnny, and I go here on this page number, here's where I am on my page number right here.
Right.
On the page number heading here,
right,
I can format this page number.
Okay.
Okay. So if I want it 1, 2, and 3, this is how you can number pages in a preface or an introduction. I could make them the little tiny Roman numerals, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I can choose the number format. I can include a chapter number. I can tell it, look, for some reason, this crazy thing went berserk. This is page 127, not 1. Okay, so I could just say started at 127. I actually won't. Okay, and then do okay. And guess what?
Yeah.
Now the chapter starts at 127. You see? And if I'm like, oh, I did not want to do that, do you remember what to do?
Control Z.
Control Z. Bye-bye. It's back to 1. Okay?
Control Z is my best friend.
Control Z. And that is a keyboard shortcut. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But that should help you understand headers. Double-click in it, double-click out of it. I used to go to insert and header and footer and use all these things. No, ma'am. If I can double-click, it's like my lariat. Boom, boom, you are roped. You are okay. So I'm going to turn off my paragraph. And again, in the paragraph group, that little symbol that editors use for paragraphs will show you your formatting. How many times did I hit return? See here. How many times, is there a tab space at the beginning of my paragraphs? No, because I've set the formatting the way it should be. All right?
That paragraph thing is important if you're self-publishing a book as an ebook, because that'll throw your formatting all off if you've got a lot of those.
Listen, it will throw a lot of things off.
Yeah.
And as a typesetter, I've been emailed Word documents. I open them up and literally I will work on them for 10 or 12 hours sometimes, getting rid of their formatting problems. And there is nothing more frustrating. And as a typesetter, you get an email back saying, this is what I need to do. And I will do it for you, but it will cost you this much extra from what I normally do. So getting your formatting right before you submit is the right thing to do. Okay, so let's move on. Headers and footers, you can make those changes in there. I showed you how to adjust the formatting. I've put in my template, I've put it the way it should be, and I have made an exception for the title page. So once again, I'm offering that free. If you will email me, Rhonda@dragomirgroup.com, I will ask you to join my mailing list and I will send you this template free of charge. The only thing I do ask is that you not share it or give it away without asking my permission, because I did develop it. Okay, let's move on. So another feature I want you to see, and I'm just going to stay here, is the Thesaurus. Have any of you used the online or onboard Thesaurus?
I use it all the time. And we do have a question in the chat. So before you get too much into that, Ginny wanted to know, when she set hers up as you have with the number, that she can't get the number to change. It's number 1 on each page. It's like it's part of the header and not part of the number function. Can you maybe give her a tip on that?
Okay, let me see here.
I think you highlighted it and then went to
I did. And that might be something that's happened here. I highlighted it, and then it is on the design tab on mine. Here is the page number under header and footer. Page number. I tell it where I want it to be. Okay. So mine, I've said, look, my cursor is already there. Put it in the current position. Then format the page number is what I'm going to do, because I'm going to say See there, you've got some options here, Jenny, under page numbering. If you wanted to continue from a previous section, and remember I defined my cover page as its own section, so that doesn't apply to me. I want to tell it to start at 1. It should just go up. Unless for some reason you've got a section break or some kind of weird formatting going on from page to page, I don't understand why it would not go up.
Yeah, that's really odd.
I wonder if she skipped the step where you went through it really quick when you were up there under page number. You said then you went to format.
Right. Okay, let me do that one more
Formatting's the
time.
key. Yeah, walk us through that one more
Okay.
time.
So here I am in my regular document. Here I am in my header. I'm going to highlight
Highlight
the
it.
number that's already there. Now, if it wasn't there, I would say insert a page number and tell it where to go. But mine is already there. I come over here to the header and footer. See, here's where I am. Header and footer tab, page number. And if I had none, I could tell it where to be. But I put my cursor and I just say current position. That's how that number got there. I put it there. And then I'm going to click format page numbers. Okay.
Jenny, try that format. See if that does it. And then you select the format. See if that makes a difference and let us know if that works. Yeah. That's a good question.
And the other thing I'll say to those who are watching this video, if you will email me a question like that, unless I just get, internationally famous and have thousands of questions a day, I will be happy to try to help you find the answer to a question like that. And Jenny, I would say if that happened to me, I'd open up the internet, I'd get on Google, and I would say Microsoft Word. My page numbers won't change. They all say 1. And just read, because I guarantee if you're having that trouble, someone else also had that problem, and probably. So let me keep on moving. I want to get back to the thesaurus. If you would like to substitute a word. In fact, I'm thinking maybe my other document might be better for this. Let me bring up again my formatting sample, and like I said, this is my basic document here. So here I see the word repeatedly. Accusations tumbled repeatedly through my mind. I see down here, she asked repeatedly. Uh-oh, I think I might want to change one of those. And I just now noticed that. I have proofed this devotional several times. Okay, here's what I'm going to remind you. I said this in our last video. Right click is your friend. If I hover my mouse over this word repeatedly, and I'm going to zoom it a little. So you look at that zoom. Okay.
I love that zoom.
So I'm going to put my mouse over repeatedly, right click. It says here synonyms, okay? If I choose synonyms, I can say recurrently, I can say frequently, I can say constantly, I could say continually. But guess what? All of those end in ly, and you're really not supposed to use ly words that much. So you could say time after time, over and over again. None of those would I really like to do. So I had cutting short a joyous Christmas holiday. Well, joyous, if I didn't like that or I wanted an alternative, hover my mouse over joyous, right click, synonyms. I could say a blissful Christmas holiday. I could say a jubilant Christmas holiday. And guess what? If I click on one of these, blissful. Did you see what it did?
Nice.
It just automatically made the substitution. I didn't even have to go back and type it in. I'm going to control C. I don't like blissful. I'm going to try again. Synonyms. It was a cheerful Christmas holiday. Don't you love that? I love that. And
I'm always on thesaurus.com, and I'm always going back to, I'm always opening it up to change things. This is a lot easier.
Now, I will say that is a feature. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes I still go to Thesaurus.
Yeah.
.com, whatever that is, because I don't find exactly the word I'm looking for. But that onboard ability to change a word, if you find a word that you're repeating, and I have a software that helps me search for repeating words. Some people use Grammarly. I use something called AutoCrit. If you have some of those programs and you're like, wow, I used the word happy 35 times in 3 pages. Okay, I need some synonyms. This is the way to find them, okay, and eliminate some of them, and that will improve your work. Okay, so that is the onboard thesaurus. Now, I want to show you some shortcuts. And these, I'm going to just leave this document open because I really don't care too much about this. I have it in like 5 different places. I'm going to show you some keyboard shortcuts. The reason they're useful and you should learn them is because anytime you take both of your hands off the keyboard and switch one over to your mouse, you are losing time. And it may seem like only a second or two to you, but I'm much faster with these keyboard shortcuts than anything else. Now, let's just say, oh, here's this prayer. I've got it in italics. I don't want it in italics. I am going to highlight it, but if I go Control-I, it's supposed to.
Do it again.
Okay, it was already on. But did you see how that took my text? Let me zoom in again.
Because the word prayer wasn't in italics, that's why it changed it to italics. Yeah.
But that is what's called a keyboard shortcuts. Boy, that's say that 10 times. So Control-I, there it's all in italics. Control-I again, it's off. It's like a toggle key. Control-B to bold it. Control-B again takes it off. Okay. Control-U is another one for underlining. So these keyboard shortcuts, you really should learn them. And there are lots of places you can go to find and learn these keyboard shortcuts. I want to show you a few that are really important. Johnny and I love Control. If you hold down the Control key and hit Z, that's what I'm going to do right now. Watch that text, Control-Z. It undoes what I just did. So I took off the bold. If I'm like, oh, I made a mistake, Control-Z. And guess what? I can do it again and again and again and again and again. It will just keep going backwards. And if I think, man, I made a mistake 7 steps ago, what am I going to do? Because I didn't save this all along the way. Then I use this Control-Z, and I just keep going until I get back to a place that I recognize, and then I'll go forward again.
What's the letter you're saying? Z or C?
Z as in zebra.
Zebra. Control-Z. Okay.
As in zebra. Okay,
Got
that's a really
I'll
good.
put that.
All right, I'm going to take my view down here. I'm going to stop the highlight. Say I wanted, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, man, this whole thing is in that crazy Calibri font. I want it all in Times New Roman. Here's another one I have a favorite, Control and A.
Yes.
You see what it did? It highlighted everything. So now I'm going to use another shortcut, and this one I learned the last time I taught this class. Control and D brings up my font dialog box. Okay, so I can say I want instead of whatever that is, Times New Roman. Okay, and I want it all in size 12. I don't care about superscript and subscript. I don't know what that was all about. But I'm going to click OK. But I want to show you something here. Do you see where it says set as default?
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, wow, it's going to let me set Times New Roman 12 as a default in all of my documents. Not true. It will set it as a default for this document. Okay. In order to change it on the master for all your documents, you have to follow the instructions that I gave you in our previous video. And if you've gotten this far watching this video and you've not seen the previous one, I guarantee you that's why you should go and watch it, because there is a way to reset this as default for all of your documents. But I'm just going to click OK, and you see everything went to Times.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, and the way I got all the text, Control A. The way I got the font, Control D. That's much faster than messing around up on the ribbon with my mouse.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so I'm going to click out of that.
Like that.
So that's Control A. To highlight everything and select everything is Control A. To copy, I hope everybody knows this. If I I love this paragraph, I want it in everything I've got. Control and C, okay, copies it. And if I go to another document, I'm going to come over here. We're going to get to this in a minute. And I Control V, there it is. So Control C for copying something, Control V to paste it. That works on the internet. That works a lot of places. If you've learned that, instead of taking your mouse, have you ever done this? Taking your mouse and try to highlight all the text on a web document. It's like, oh my goodness, this is taking forever. That, first of all, the Control A will highlight everything. Sometimes it'll bring in the advertisements and hyperlinks and everything. Okay, but Control C to copy something after you've highlighted it. Control V to paste.
Yeah, and I do want to add, you know, we talked at the when we started about the difference between PCs and Apples. All that control, all those shortcuts work for Apples too.
Okay,
But
great.
you hit command, right? You
can hit command, but we there's a control button.
Okay.
How about that?
So the
Okay.
control works too.
Well, these keyboard shortcuts are very much worth learning and using, because they, you know, it's like a penny saved is a penny earned. You know, if you learn these little tiny tricks, what it does overall, when you think of how much time that would save you in a 250-page manuscript, lots and lots of time it would save.
Can I add another one too that goes along with Control Z? And I'm sorry if you were going to talk about it. It's Control Y.
All right, what does Control Y do, John?
Okay, so if you say you did something and then you thought, oh no, I didn't want to do that. You hit Control Z, it undoes it. And then you think, oh shoot, yes, I did want that. You hit Control Y and it brings it back.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. Okay, it does do that.
Yeah.
So I will tell you though, what I recommended in my previous video, if you don't want to use the keyboard shortcut, is up here on this quick access bar. Can you all see that? There is up in the top left of the screen, there is an undo and there is a redo.
mm-hmm.
That's the same thing. So if you can't remember Control Z or Control Y, or you prefer to use your mouse, those options are there. And one thing about Microsoft Word, they've built in about 5 ways to do anything you want to do. So if you learn one and it works for you, do that. But you might, I hope you're learning some new things today as you're in Writer's Chat with us. So now I want to show you something else. Let's move on from these keyboard tricks. You can Google those. They're all over the internet, and they're very well worth learning. So I'm going to go back to my sample document here. Actually, no, I'm coming over here to this document. I want to teach you something that's called alt codes. Okay, you may never have heard of alt codes, but there are certain things that I like to do in my document that I can say. You see here, I'm going to zoom. I just love my new Zoom. Okay, here we're zooming on Zoom. How about that? Okay, so I want to insert an M dash. Okay, so I'm typing she pause, and this may not be correct. But right here, let's say I wanted an M dash. I could come over to insert a symbol and try to find my M dash. Oh goodness, it's not there. Here's what's called an alt code. If I hold down my alt key and on my number pad, I type in 0151. You stinker. Do it. Oh, 0151. There's my M dash. Okay, and those are keystrokes. So I wouldn't normally have to use my mouse. And she paused again. This is just completely stupid. But Alt 0151, there's another one. Okay? So if you want to use these alt codes, you would find them out on the internet. They only work, as far as I know, in the Windows environment. Jean, maybe you could help us with the Mac environment. They only work on a keyboard that has a number pad. I do some of my work, I will confess, I do some of my work in my recliner chair in front of the television. Sorry, I do. And I have a little tiny notebook computer. It does not have a number pad. So I would go crazy trying to figure out my alt codes. But I will tell you one more thing. If you love the M dash, if I just put in 2 hyphens and then type another word, it automatically goes in.
That's how I do it all the time. Yeah.
And that is pretty fast too. So I figured that out one day, driving myself nuts on my little notebook computer. But alt, say you want the word Renee. That's one of your names, but you know that Renee has the grave, the accent on that final E. If I know my alt codes, I can hold down Alt 0233. There it is with the accent mark. If you're typing a manuscript in, you've got characters, Vikings, who speak Norse, and you use some of their strange letters and things. There are alt codes that will type those letters in your manuscript, and it will look very professional. I love learning these alt codes. Some people want to insert a copyright symbol, and it's not easy to find on your keyboard. I don't think there is a copyright symbol on your keyboard. Okay, so I happen to know, because I've used it before, the alt code for a copyright symbol is Alt 0169. There it is. Okay, how do you know what these alt codes are? I'm going to give you a website to look at. It's called www.alt-codes.net. And I'll quickly just go there on the internet and show you how this looks. See, I was on Writer's Chat. I'm a good
Writer's Chat group.
alt-codes.net.
I love screen share. This is great.
Great. Okay, so look at all these alt codes. It shows me. Do you know that alt and one gives you a happy face? But it does give you some of these symbols. And this, what this says is it gives you, if you want a 0, it's alt 48. You know, I don't know why you wouldn't use your 0 on your keyboard. But some folks want, see, here is copyright. Here is a trademark, or what is the R?
Registered, yeah. Registered.
Trademark. You might want a check mark if you're in a table or something. You might want a bullet. Look at, here's an alt for bullets. Okay, so this is one way, but what I really do is if you have some of these weird things that you would see in other languages, the A with the little, I don't even know what they're called. Yeah. That is alt 0229, and it's in your document.
Wow. I never had any idea on those. That's all new.
Some of them have the capital letters with the accent. Look at this one. The accent goes from left to right. This one goes from right to left. I mean, you have to know something about the language you're working in. Right. But here's the little I with the snake bite, you know. There's a Y with a snake bite. I don't know what these are exactly used for. I know some Spanish and some other things. This E with the accent, there's it with it going left to right, is alt 138. So they're also, you know, I'm just not going to explain. I'm going to let you explore. This is a wonderful reference. If there is a particular symbol that you're going to use a lot, if you're going to use that name Renee with a bunch of times, that's a simple way to do it. But I also want to show you something else here. I'm going to take off that E. I want to let you know there are symbols available in Word, common symbols. So I am on the Insert tab. Okay. They're over here at the right. You see me on the right.
Never noticed that.
If I click symbol, guess what? That E is so commonly used that it's right there. They call it the Latin small letter E, and there it is. Okay.
Wow. Well, it looked like it had the copyright thing and the registered trademark one too. Yeah.
Let's just look at what's there. What is there under symbol? Insert the symbol. It's got the E with the grave. It's got copyright. Yeah. There's a block. If you're doing a check mark list, there's a bullet, one bullet that you can select from. There's the trademark. There's also the TM for trademark. Yeah. I don't know what these are used for, but they're mathematical symbols. But what if you're like, well, I don't see the one I want right there? Guess what? Word symbols. Wow. Now we're talking. And what this has done is it's taken you, now this is all in Times New Roman. Okay, so anything I insert is going to be Times New Roman font. I'm looking at all of these letters that I could insert, this, and a bunch of them are listed here, but I can go on down through this, and guess what you can do? You can even get into Greek, Hebrew, Arabic, Cyrillic, all this stuff, if you want to be that specific in your document. Now, let's not get carried away. Let's use these in a reserved way. Okay. But in order to insert one, I would just here, I'm going to choose copyright again and click insert.
Okay.
And close. And there it is.
Yeah.
I took it out before you couldn't see that.
That's great.
That's a nice way to make your manuscript look professional, especially if you use a foreign language. And I'm writing something now that has some foreign sounding words in them, and I'm going to put a few of these symbols into my writing because I think it looks more professional. So, you know, the word Renee without the E, well, everybody knows that's Renee. But if you've got that grave on it, it just is more impressive in my opinion. Okay?
Wow.
Now, it is 11:47.
Really?
Wow.
Really is.
Wow.
I want to show you one more thing while we're here. This is one more little trick. I was going to talk about inserting pictures and tables and things like that. I don't think I'll have time for that. I've already reviewed a little bit about page breaks, and I want you to know that when you're starting a new chapter, rather than just hitting return until you get where you go, at the end of your chapter, insert a page break. See, it's now my insert tab, and that will automatically force you to the next page. Okay? But I had someone ask me about a macro. How many of you, I'm going to zoom down, how many of you know what a macro is? Anybody know?
I used to. I guess it's the same thing.
I would just ask, how many of you type your contact information so often you're going cross-eyed?
Okay,
Yeah.
The only macro I'm going to show you is one for your contact information.
Okay.
That might go on every single one. There is a tab on my ribbon that says developer. You may not have that tab on your ribbon because it is not a default setting. But if I come over here, I right-click on my ribbon, customize the ribbon. Here under the main tabs, if you go down, there's one here that says developer. By default, it is checked off. Okay? And guess what? It just disappeared from my tabs. If I come over here, right-click, customize the ribbon, click on developer, it gives me controls for making a macro. And here it is now. It shows. It's just that fast. All right, on the developer tab, you will see this group called code. And it says Visual Basic, macros, whatever. Okay, I want to record a macro. What a macro is it is a task that my computer will remember and do it repeatedly when I make my own shortcut. So I'm going to make my own shortcut. Yeah. And I'm just smart enough to get into trouble. So here I go.
Oops.
I'm going to click record the macro. And what it does is it records my keystrokes. Okay, so the first thing it does, it brings up a dialog box that lets me name it. And I'm going to do contact and underscore and sample. Because I'm not putting my own personal information on a video on the internet. Okay?
Oh, why not?
I have privacy issues. So I'm going to call this macro contact underline sample. That's just for me to know what this macro is.
Sure.
I can assign it to a button, but I'd rather assign it to keyboard strokes like my other keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to click here on the little keyboard icon. It brings up a new dialog box. And it wants me to know, see, it's already blinking here. What is the shortcut I want to use for that? Okay, so now I get to play. I'm going to use my control key and do C and I for contact information. Guess what? See where it says it's already currently assigned? I have to develop a shortcut that is not assigned to a different task. So I had to play around a little bit, and I happen to know if I do Alt, well, I'm going to try again. Mr. Computer. Okay, Alt, and then C and I. And I did C twice. I'm going to do I. Do you see where it's given me the shortcut?
Yeah.
Alt
Yeah.
plus C and I. And it says it's unassigned.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Alt CI is going to put in my contact information. All right. And then I click down here and I say assign it. You might want to write this down somewhere because you might forget it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm keeping a little notebook if I'm making macros or a document that shows me what they are. So currently it says this macro is assigned to Alt plus C, comma, I. So I would touch Alt C and I, and it's going to execute this command. Then I say close. Now it says where it says stop recording or pause the recording, it is recording what I do, every keystroke. So here I'm going to put your name. I'm going to zoom. Here I go zooming. All right. Your address. And I'm just hitting return. City, state, zip. I'm going to do my phone number. Isn't that unique? Okay.
I'm going to call you right now.
Mail address.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my website.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to say stop recording. All right. And guess what I have done? I have made a macro. Now I'm going to go in here. Now this spacing is off. It should be single spaced, probably. But it recorded everything I did. So if I do Alt C I.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
great.
Imagine having a macro that had that information and you never had to type it again.
Okay, what happens if your email changes? How easy do you have to record a whole new one, or
Okay.
can you go in and
Yes.
edit it?
Okay, let me show you. Gene, here where it says macros.
Yep.
Here's the one I just created, contact sample. Guess
Oh,
what?
there's an edit. Yep.
There's an edit key. Now it brings up something called Visual Basic, which freaks people out if they don't know HTML. All right. But here where it says email address, I can say, oh, I wanted a hyphen in email.
You just type it in.
There's a change, and I have to move this over. And I guess, where can I save it?
It must just save, I bet.
I'm not sure how. I'm afraid to leave it. Well, let's just close it and see.
Yeah, I think it's just going to save it because that's what it is now.
Okay. All right. So I come back to my document. I'm going to get rid of what I put in there before. Now Alt C I, and guess what? The hyphen is.
Wow.
Okay. So I am going to create that macro with my own information because I use it a lot.
Yeah,
I put it on my template. I made my Dragomir group template into a Rhonda template, and I put it in there.
And how would you change the spacing? That was a question in the chat. How would you change the spacing?
Anytime you want to look at spacing, like between lines, that's double spaced. Because I said my thing is default double space, I would just come in here and single space it. Okay. And there it is. And
but you could do that and edit then too? Can you edit that micro?
I think so, but I would get it in the right settings before I recorded the macro. I think it's a lot easier to get it right the first time rather than go back and try to fix it.
Okay.
If I was double spaced, that's a simple fix.
Yeah, that is, I'm going to try those. Those are great.
Yeah, I like that too. I used to use this with WordPerfect all the time, but I never knew how to do them with Microsoft Word.
Ideas for macros, and you know, people put macros out on the internet and all kinds of stuff, but you might have an idea. Anything you do repeatedly, if you do a certain task all the time, that's when you should start thinking about a macro. Start the recording, name it for what it is, start the recording, do the task. Then the next time you want it to do that, it will do that.
Rhonda, this has been great today. We really appreciate this.
Even if you're doing like a letter and there's like one paragraph that always has to be in that letter, you can do that macro for that. And then
if your introductory paragraph in all of your query letters is the same,
Yeah.
Type it in a macro, it'll go a lot faster. And I know it's time to stop. I will just say this.
This is great.
No matter how experienced you are, no matter how many times you do something, your Bronco may still see a rattlesnake and head for the day. It's going to happen. You may do everything right and the program will still just make you scratch your head. So save your work often, go back to a previous version if you're just completely in the muck. And if all else fails, just build a campfire and enjoy the stars.
I love it. I love it.
I've done that before.
Could you
Thank you.
could you show the alternate way instead of keyboard, the button? Do you know how to do that one in the developer?
In developer. I'm not sure what you mean here.
But instead of going with the keyboard, going with the button. So would that add a button up to your ribbon?
Do you know what? I have not practiced that.
Okay.
I will.
And I am really concerned that there would be a pile of something waiting for me if I tried live in person on a recording. So
That's okay. I'll play with it.
You'll have to tell us how that works out.
I will.
Assign it to a button. You could assign it to a function key, or I don't know. But I'm afraid my keys do certain things. If I have that combination into that shortcut code of 3 keys, I can be pretty sure it's going to do that every time.
Yeah, that is great. This has been great today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rhonda, I think we're going to have a part 3.
I know.
You know, giving us a little bit of space, but you keep taking notes for us and we'll have you back, because this is the kind of nitty gritty that really makes our jobs as writers go easier.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
On that way.
Oh,
What we'll do is invite everybody back in. We didn't get a lot of it. It's new now, so we didn't get a lot. If you can't come back in, because I took some of you, I stopped your videos. So if you can't come back in, just put it in the chat that you can't come back in. We have to click something to allow you back in. You come on back in. Johnny, anything you want to say?
Yes.
Before we get off the recording.
Yes. Next week, we're going to have with us Brennan Mcpherson. He's the author of the Fall of Man series. So he has a book on Cain, a book called The Flood, which is about Noah, and a prequel, a short book called, which is about Adam. When Cain came out, Brennan was hit with a lot of negative reviews, and he's going to talk to us about how he used those negative reviews to improve his writing, and also just how he dealt with them. So we're going to be talking about reviews, not just negative ones, but positive ones too. And Brennan also has a really cool newsletter, so we're going to talk a little bit about marketing and that kind of thing. But mostly, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, there were people who had strong opinions about his take on Cain, and we're not afraid to express it. So we're going to be talking about that. So, you know, we hope you join us. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Brennan's a great guy, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, and we sure appreciate it. And Jan, thanks for staying on today and being an extra host with us and stuff. And it's glad to see everybody popping in. You guys are welcome to stay for the after party here. And
you know what? I think I just told a big fib.
I think you did too. I think you're off a week, aren't you?
I'm off a week. Okay, Brennan will be with us on the 26th.
On 2 weeks. Next week, we have Rhonda Krill. Is that her last name? Another
Rhonda Krill will be with us, who is with One Voice, One Christian Voice. And yes, I encourage everyone to be here for that, because this is a freelance opportunity. These are like, I'm not exactly sure how to, it's kind of like newspapers, online newspapers for different cities. So you can become almost like a reporter for your area, reporting on things that are happening in your churches and in your community and all those kinds of things. So yes, be here next week for Rhonda Krill for One Christian Voice, and be here on the 26th for Brennan Mcpherson talking about reviews.
That sounds perfect. Perfect. I thought maybe I was wrong on the order.
No, I'm sorry. I just got ahead of myself.
No. That's probably, but see, now they have 2-week preview, and so Rhonda will be followed by Rhonda. And so as we finish up the recording, we just thank you guys for either being here live. We had a few of us live. We know a whole group of some of our regulars are on their way to write to publish in Chicago, so that's very exciting. And we'll say prayers for safe travel for them and wonderful God opportunities that they can meet just who and interact with just who needs them that way. And before we quit recording, a special thanks again to Rhonda for being with it. You do have a wonderful teaching style. You are a teacher. And so I encourage you to keep doing this because we can learn. And I think having spread this out is going to make it a little bit easier too.
Yes.
And Jan, thanks for joining us.
Yes,
also.
Jan, thank you.
And try that button and let us know how it goes. And we'll let Johnny quit recording. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, all.
Bye, everyone.